This week on Lone Lobos.
I don't know. Out of context, it's almost ridiculous how big the score is.
Yeah.
To just enjoy it and have fun and be
It's
kind of
anime.
swept away. It's
is
anime.
I mean,
it's live action anime.
We can talk about
we say this all the time.
I just really like there was a line in the script that says Johnny Lawrence grimaces at the state of karate in the valley. And I loved that.
And that was our pitch, is we want to do this for real. And they really liked that. And we got a call 5 minutes after the meeting that we got the gig.
That's
also
amazing.
has never
happened ever again.
You're like, what? Leo's the king of pop. If y'all didn't know, he worked with Charli XCX. He had a brat winter before the brat summer.
Oh, you had a brat
I had a brat.
Brat Thanksgiving?
Yeah, I had a brat
You had a
Thanksgiving.
You had a
2, 1, go!
Come on.
Welcome to this week's episode of the podcast. I am your host, Xolo Maridueña. You are listening to the free ad version of the podcast. Hey, thanks. And if you would like to hear the extended anime full composition breakdown of the podcast and directly support Jacob, Scott Thomas Bertrand, and myself, Xolo Maridueña, you can do so at lonelobos.supercast.com. You can find all of our bonus episodes there. Interviews with some of our favorite folk on the red carpets, as well as some of our cool swag. We got some merch. We got some posters. We got some clothes, all stuff that you need to head into the new year with. And if not, we appreciate the love. Thank you. Enjoy this episode. Welcome to another episode of Who Wants to Be an Emmy Winner. I'm your host, Xolo Maridueña. I am joined today by our first Emmy winners for this show. It's crazy. We've been going for 3 years and haven't had one on. They are not only savants, Renaissance men, but also two of the most talented folk that we've had the opportunity to work with on Cobra Kai. Please do me a great favor, Jordan and Monica, to welcome Zach Robinson and Leo Birenberg. Thank you.
What's up? Thank you. That was such a nice intro.
Thank you for coming on, boys. Thank you for coming on to the show.
Of course.
For those of y'all who aren't familiar, Zach and Leo are our composers on Cobra Kai, and now that the show is wrapping up, are also scoring Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man on Disney. So, thank you so much for joining the show. First, we've had the chance to speak a couple of times. But there are some things that I'm still curious about. First and foremost, after doing a little research to catch everyone up to speed, the first question that I had was, what differentiates y'all from the music industry and the film industry? It's kind of so apparent that although your medium is film, but you work so heavily with instruments. Was it always that way? Was the interest always film, or were y'all just good at instruments and then the opportunity came around to make film, or was this always kind of the goal?
That's a good question.
That
I
is
feel
a
like
good
we
question.
always get that too. We'll be or especially relatives will be like, "How's the music industry?" And it's actually no, we're actually in the film. We are in the film industry, but we focus on the music part of the film industry.
Yeah, I would say we're definitively in the film industry.
Yeah.
From just kind of a business structure standpoint, I don't know anything about how records are made.
I would not want to
truly.
be in the music
And
industry.
also, the music industry is a
lot less stable.
Yeah.
But we both came up loving music, studying music in school. We come from kind of different musical backgrounds. I'm kind of an LA rock boy.
Okay.
Was in metal bands, played the Whiskey and the Roxy growing up, and jazz boy over here,
Musical
choir
theater
boy,
kid.
musical theater. With our powers combined,
we can score Cobra Kai.
Exactly. But yeah, we've just always loved music for film and TV, and just grew up on scores that we found really inspiring.
Yeah.
And it's a blessing that we get to do it every day of our lives.
I know. And you guys have done some tremendous work
Thank
as
you.
well. It's always... Y'all's job is almost one of the biggest trips in terms of all of the steps of the process, because I'm so blessed with never having to watch any show without the music. It is it almost is inherent. It has to be accompanied with the picture to really add this harmonious effect. Is it ever cringe for y'all to watch some serious scenes sometimes without any music or
Oh yeah, big time.
Yeah.
Even
oh my
although
God.
worse than no music is like when the editor puts in something horrible, but like not all temp is bad, but sometimes they just take a swing and a total miss, and it's like the most inappropriate thing you've ever seen.
Yeah, so
that can be pretty cringe.
like for those who don't know, like
Yeah.
when we get an episode of Cobra Kai, it already comes. It's called temp music, where the editors and John, Josh, and Hayden like they work to like, and our music editor Andres like they work together to temp the episode with generally with Cobra Kai music, like with the score. And most of the time it just doesn't work. Like it just they're just using it as like a
filler.
tonal-
It's filler. It's filler.
This is
Yeah.
Exactly.
This is now
Exactly. So
driving
then
us.
we come in and we tailor it like a suit. Like you go and imagine like getting like a fine suit tailored to your body. Like that's how we work.
And how does that? And I don't know. I'm just kind of starting to get to learn about composition through y'all. Why does it make sense that y'all are a duo and not a single composer? Because I guess some of the composers that I hear about in the industry, it's like blah blah blah. Why are y'all stronger as a team?
I think we bring different influences to the table, which then go like into the pot and get mixed up in an interesting way. I think the biggest thing over the years I've found is that most of the value in making anything is like the collaborative process.
Yeah.
So like you see this on set too.
Yeah.
Like in fact, you're rarely on set alone, if ever. Like there's always at least someone behind the camera.
Yeah.
And for some people, some other musicians, it works out for them to just be in a room alone and work. And I think like we just like to be constantly brainstorming and like in that environment. And so like no matter what we're writing, we're just like on the phone in the same room, constantly pitching ideas. And so we come up with ideas that we would never come up with on other jobs where we might not be working together. And I think like that's the real strength and value that it brings is like you get this like super powered, fusion brain meld situation going on.
Is it by chance that you guys kind of come into Cobra Kai? And let's start there, and then I have.
It's a crazy story.
I think it was destiny.
It was
like
it actually
no,
like,
truly, because
this doesn't happen anymore.
Okay.
Who
Already,
wants to
I mean,
start?
Okay, well, I'll start and I'll hand it off to you.
Okay.
We're used to this conversation. Okay, so like we worked together for another composer named Chris Beck. That's how we came up. We worked in the trenches on some really big movies together because Chris scored Frozen, Edge of Tomorrow, Ant-Man, like huge movies. So we were a part of that studio for a long time. And when we branched off on our own, we did a show very briefly on YouTube Red. It was one of their first shows. And we had a relationship with people at YouTube. Nice. So we saw when Cobra Kai was announced, and it was just announced as Karate Kid show.
Okay, just like a news article.
Yep. There was no
deadline.
announcement about Ralph or Billy. And nothing. And we were like, we should do this because it's YouTube. But like, we have
we're
a
like
shot.
looking for a gig. Like,
so I'll hand it off to you.
So we just kind of made a reel of 10 tracks. Like sort of kind of, there was an 80s training montage on there.
Yeah.
A few maybe.
But maybe a few, but like we didn't, because we thought like, oh, maybe it's going to be kind of 80s.
Yeah.
But like, again, no info.
Right.
So didn't
You were
really
kinda
know.
right,
So we did guess right. And then we called our agent and we said, hey, we just read about this thing. Like, it feels like maybe this is a gig we could get knowing nothing.
Yeah.
Can you just like try to get this reel in somebody's hands? Who cares? And like, people do that all the time. And you never get the reel in anybody's hands. Who cares? Because either one, nobody cares. The person who might be collecting said reel actually doesn't talk to the people who are like making creative decisions. Like there's just,
or they do hand it off and it doesn't actually get to them still.
And it's sitting on someone's desk. Like it never happens. By some stroke of luck that we still don't quite understand, someone from Sony called our agent looking for something about Cobra Kai. Like I'm not even sure it was an inquiry about Cobra Kai, but our agent managed to give them the reel and it got in John, Josh, and Hayden's lap. and they called us to schedule a meeting, and they sent us the scripts to the first episode.
Whoa.
And so then is when we learned like, oh wow, this is actually like within the universe of Cobra Kai, like a continuation. And like, I mean, Zach loves to tell this story.
I just really like there was like a line in the script that says like Johnny Lawrence grimaces at the state of karate in the valley. And I like loved that.
Like it's tonally, I felt like that summed up kind of just like what the tone really is of the whole show. Dude. And so we took a meeting with John, Josh, and Hayden that was like 15, 20 minutes long.
Wow.
And I had purple hair at the time. This was a different Zach and Leo. And we sat down with them and we immediately clicked. I mean, they were like high enthusiasm guys. Yeah. We're high enthusiasm guys. But I think like the crux of our pitch was, look, every TV show has an episode where they do an 80s training montage. It's just like a sitcom trope.
What if
and it's always a parody. What if we do it for real? Like, it's not like we're going to score this genuinely like it is an 80s movie. Yeah. And I think what the score has become is sort of this love letter to all sorts of 80s movies as the scope of the show gets bigger and broader. But I think we sort of started out in this like 80s training montage, synth wavy kind of world. And like, that was our pitch, is like, we want to do this for real. And they really liked that. And we got a call 5 minutes after the meeting that we got the gig. That's also amazing. Has never happened ever again. Usually you take a meeting and you wait 5 months and you think that the movie's already been made, and then suddenly it's like, oh hey, those guys want to hire you. It turns out, and it's like, wait,
most of the time really? They don't want to hire you.
And usually they don't want to hire you. So
I think, but like I think the reason that clicked so much with them when we met them was, I think, because we were approaching this from a place of sincerity, which we've always have with this score, and I think that really clicked with John and Josh and Hayden. Like John said to us in the meeting, like, Karate Kids are Star Wars. Yeah. Like, this is not where, like, we are approaching this from, like, we are going to be writing fan fiction, essentially.
Yeah. And y'all really, I have to give y'all the flowers, because with this music specifically, y'all score specifically, is what most people talk about when they talk about this 80s feel, or they talk about this nostalgia factor, or they talk about, man, it's a feel good show. So much of that is attributed to the music that y'all make. And now, as you guys are saying this, it's kind of clicking in my head like, oh my gosh, thank God y'all had the right instincts and y'all were the people equipped to come on board for this project, because it totally changes without this type of, whether it be, synth music or 80s, inspired music, or just who you two are, like, it would be completely different.
It's pretty crazy for us to even just see where season 1 was musically to how this ends.
6.
Because now it's like, we use a full orchestra on every single episode. It's as symphonic as possible.
Yeah.
Like we are like true maximalists on this score now. And it's because just, the scope of the show and the story has expanded so much. And I think a lot of props, like, I appreciate the props that you gave us, but like a lot of it also goes to John, Josh, and Hayden, who just like let us cook. Like they more so than just a lot of
almost
people,
anyone.
They really trust us, and they've trusted us since day one.
Nice.
Like, the fight with Johnny in the parking lot in episode 1. That was like the first thing we wrote, and that's kind of like and that's Strike First, which is the end credits of the show. So that's the first thing we ever wrote for Cobra Kai, and they were like, "This is the vibe."
Okay.
And that was a big swing at the time.
That was a big swing.
That might have gotten thrown out. Like,
so which is harder then? Like, coming up with a new idea and coming up with what the Cobra Kai sound could be like, or hitting this last, 5 episodes and being like, oh shit, we got to wrap it up. Like,
when we finish every season, we always think we're like out of gas, and we're like, how are we possibly gonna like do like just because like, well, it's like it's cool because every season kind of like expands the universe a little bit, and so like that gives us some new juice to like bring in, like, whether it was Terry Silver or whether it's like going to Okinawa, like everything. It's like the music bubble just gets bigger and wider and wider, and so every time it gets a little wider, it means we have more things that we can like multiply against things that already exist. So like if we had an instrument or like a theme that was on a certain instrument, and then we've like introduced this other instrument, then suddenly we can play that old theme on the new one. And so that happens a lot just as things get bigger and bigger. But then we start every season and like, I don't know, one day into working on the first episode, we're like, oh, we're back.
We're back. Exactly. No, I know.
And it's actually the time off in between is extremely helpful to just kind of like let it all settle a little bit. And then, I don't know, we always got, I'm sure, like, I think I could write infinite Cobra Kai seasons. There would always be inspiration there.
I love that.
Talking about collaboration too, like we get each other so jacked up.
Oh yeah.
Like we're like sending each other like little clips of music and things, and then I'm like, yeah, let's go. Like hell yeah, Leo,
like, this is the one. This
so
is
sick. And then it's like going to the gym with someone.
Yeah.
And like you're seeing them do their reps, and you're like, all right, well, I got to do my reps.
Yeah.
There is also an element with like the final season, and kind of we do this every season, but like we always try to push the envelope in terms of like, what are we actually gonna get away with in terms of making that? Like, it's like Zach said, it's a maximalist score, which also like, I don't know, out of context, it's almost ridiculous how like big the score is.
Yeah.
And we've often thought that it's actually, in a weird way, key to taking the show seriously is kind of how serious the score is, because it gives you permission as the audience, excuse me, to like just enjoy it and have fun and be kind of like swept away. It's anime. I mean, it's live action anime.
We can talk about
we say
that.
this all the time. It is live action anime.
It's like, think about also like when Tori shows up at the end of episode 5 in season 6.
Oh,
exactly. Yeah. Like if it wasn't that, it wouldn't work.
Yeah.
It wouldn't work. It needs to like constantly be at like a 10, because that is the only way.
Because then you pan over to Tanner Buchanan, who's like, who looks the most devastated anyone could look, and you're like, oh wait, no, this is the Olympics for these kids. This is, the make it or break it moment for these folk. And for us, being that it's been 7 years and we're like, what's gonna happen? Wow. So do y'all have what's a sleeper on our, like, what's something that on our show that you're like, damn, not enough people, they didn't know.
I think we have a lot of those.
They didn't know.
We literally just like did an interview with someone where we talk about our like the most underrated tracks on the soundtrack.
Does underrated mean like
ones that we love that we feel like people don't?
Yeah, they just don't have a lot of plays.
Okay,
basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
What? Oh gosh.
And now that we're on the spot, I mean, I think like the mall fight in season 2
is a big
like
one.
One of my favorites because it's so Power Rangers core. I love that one.
We say Storm of Senseis a lot because this is season 4.
That's Daniel Johnny.
Yeah, their fight in episode 5 of season 4. Because like a lot of season 4 gets overshadowed by the tournament at the end. And like this scene, really including the pre-fight, which is like, we often talk about how the music before the fight is actually maybe more important than the music during the fight. And the pre-fight of that cue is awesome too, because it's taking something from season 1 that is like before the final match when they're kind of facing off as coaches, and then like totally transformed for them actually facing off.
We've got like Lord of the Rings level thematic development in the show.
Like, no, there's a lot of lore happening. Yeah. Like
you're like, this wind instrument is Daniel, so now we will always continue to do this. And
Also, like some of my favorites are just which I understand why they don't get a lot of plays, but some of my favorites are cues under just people talking. Like, I mean, Always Be My Sensei is you talking to Johnny in season 4.
Like with the watermelon stuff?
Yes, right before that. I love that one. And also, I mean, anything with Terry Silver
is,
we're obsessed with Terry Silver. Anytime he is on screen, we love writing music for him.
Do y'all, I mean, he is easily one of the coolest people to get to film with on screen. I'm sure that totally resonates with y'all getting to write for him. Do y'all look back to the original Karate Kid kind of franchise to inform some of what you're doing here? Or do y'all find that our show is removed enough to be like, okay, there's some things that we want to keep there, but there's some things that we're obviously having to evolve from, and like it's different?
both. When we first were working on season 1, we did kind of like a deep dive on the original movies.
Yeah.
Like we knew them,
Of course.
and we knew the music. Like they're great scores by Bill Conti, who's just like one of the old
Legend, right?
masters,
Yeah.
so to speak. And I think like one of our takeaways was sort of a lot of people know the feeling of the Karate Kid scores.
Yeah.
But they don't actually know the music in the way that people know like Star Wars or like no one can sing you any music from the Karate Kid. Like truly. It's like
it's not like hummable.
Yeah, it's not hummable, but you know like the vibe. It's like you know that it's like pan flute over that like tremolo string. And so we were like, okay, we're going to not use any of that music and we're just going to try to maybe use some of those techniques to like capture the vibe and then expand it massively. Another thing is like with those original movies, the songs are like just as important as the score. And actually that's what people remember. Mm-hmm. And that is like this sort of 80s synth pop thing, whether it is like Bananarama or like, what is that? Like Young Hearts.
Yeah.
Like we wanted to capture kind of that needle drop aspect of the score, a lot of which Conti had a hand in with like co-writing stuff and sort of like bring that into the Cobra Kai score world. And so there's a lot of stuff in our score that just feels a lot more pop music influenced. And that was sort of philosophically where that comes from.
I mean, if we know one thing, Leo's the king of pop. If y'all didn't know, he worked with Charli XCX. He had a brat winter before the brat summer.
Oh, you had a brat like
I had a brat
Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I had a brat Thanksgiving.
He was working over Thanksgiving on that.
I cannot help but pivot right here really quickly because not only did you get to work on one of the poster childs for like cool comedies in the 21st century, but also work with Charli XCX, who is possibly having like before having the Brat Summer.
Yeah.
So what is it like collaborating with a tradition with I guess someone from the music industry coming over hopping on
a
someone
film.
who's not
me. Right. Someone who's not Zach.
Does it feel like
sorry,
cheating?
Zach. You are not Brad.
Does it feel like cheating when you're like,
No.
No. I mean, like, look, different opportunities come up and we always like seize them. It's awesome. Like, why would I ever not want to collaborate with Charli on something? I mean, she totally lives up to the hype. She's awesome. Like, super great collaborator. It's actually a perfect kind of like cycle back to the original question you asked us about film industry versus music industry, because like they're totally different. Like you structure things a certain way, you design your hooks a certain way, you make sounds a certain way because like people are dancing to it, people are singing to it, people are seeing it in concert. At no point do you have to think about like what Miguel is saying on screen. You know, it's like it's just a totally different world. And so like I think it has become a little more popular recently to try to bring people from the pop world into the film score world. Mm-hmm. Actually, I say recently, but that has actually always been a thing, just kind of in different ways. Yeah. But a lot of times, like the mechanics and logistics of then scoring against picture, like it's just a different skill set. And so like what I did with Charli is like initially, this is for the movie Bottoms, by the way. I don't know. I actually don't remember. So this movie, like if you haven't seen it, you should see it.
Good.
It is so awesome. Yeah. It is just like this weird, but also totally of the time, just like batshit crazy comedy that everybody should watch. Like it's
with so, like the new gen of comedy.
Yeah,
too,
new gen of comedy. It's so funny. It's just laugh out loud funny the whole time. And it's cool. And part of it's the reason it's cool, I like to think, is because the music's cool.
Yeah.
So anyway, like early on in the process, basically like Charli and her amazing producers, A.G. Cook and oh my God, her fiance.
Okay. George Daniel.
Oh, thank you, Monica.
Yes, yeah. Like his email is not that. So like it's like whenever I see it, it doesn't come up as George Daniel.
Yeah.
They kind of like went into a room and like made a bunch of, for lack of better words, like sounds, like just tons of stuff, like cool manipulations of Charli's vocals, like cool synth sounds, like stuff that I would never come up with because like I don't produce Charli XCX records. Like I actually do like to use vocals and stuff all the time. And like, I have a background with like messing around with it, but like, so they kind of made this like pile of sounds. And then we all kind of went through it with the director, Emma, and to like identified like sounds that the director really responded to and like little things that everyone responded to. And then I started kind of taking all of these sounds and like stems and ideas and like messing around with it, almost like recompose sounds like too much of an overhaul, but basically trying to figure out which of these ideas work with picture the way I would use sounds scoring anything.
Okay.
Like, so you're kind of like, there's like two steps. You're like coming up with musical ideas, not to picture, and then figuring out how to then rework those musical ideas in a way that works with picture.
I love that.
And it's kind of hard to explain because it's very messy.
The sequence where Io is walking up to her crush at the fair.
Oh yeah.
And there's this like almost whimsical,
it's very like ethereal.
What is going on here?
There is like all the do stuff is actually Charli vocal.
Okay,
that does not sound like vocals. That has been like chopped up and like pitched in very aggressive ways, and like it is the
y'all gotta watch it again.
Yeah. It's and that's like, I mean, look, my thought on my end for the score is basically like Charli is the attraction here. Her pop music is tons of vocal manipulation in a way that is like, I mean, like her producer A.G. Cook, he kind of invented this like hyper pop sound. He is unbelievable, like legendary. Like I like worship his stuff before I ever met him. Wow. And so like it was very cool for me to sort of see, oh, this is like, how he starts like coming up with these like vocal chops and whatnot. And like then I kind of like I feel like was trying to do an A.G. Cook impression in some of this stuff, or like execution, and like definitely didn't do it as well. But I think like I have my own sort of angle to it that I can bring that is different. And so I don't know, a lot of it was just fun experimentation, kind of very, I don't want to say out of my comfort zone, but like I definitely enjoy working on things where I don't quite know what I'm doing the most. Like I think we'd like all do a little bit, because like if I've already done something, I get very bored doing it. And 100. Like, so I always kind of, there needs to be a challenge to every gig.
And with this opportunity, and I'm sure like this has come by way of both y'all, it sounds so cool because y'all jobs, although in this instance y'all work together, it sounds pretty personal. It sounds like you're doing a lot of work kind of by yourself and not really seeing how, AJ Cook works or how these other folk work and how they're literally moving their fingers and how they're setting stuff up. Who, for you, Zach, who have you gotten to, was it your y'all's mentor early on? Who was someone that you're like, whoa, once you stepped in the room, you were like, oh shit, I'm here. I made it.
Cobra Kai has opened a lot of doors in that respect, in the sense that we have gotten the opportunity to work with some amazing people.
Whoa.
A lot of it is just like, I just DM people on Instagram that I like. And this season in particular was kind of, it's the last season.
You're like, hey,
so
it's y'all's last chance.
Yeah. So I mean, like like I'm a guitar player. Like we worked with some just unbelievable guitar players this year. Like, and watching them and other musicians that we've worked with, just seeing, they'll send us stems, isolated tracks. So Charlie Robbins, who played all the like Iron Dragons guitar stuff, he played that big thing at the end of episode 6, that big guitar solo that takes us out of the episode. Like he's an amazing guitar player, and just seeing what he sent over, and he plays all over the score too. It's unbelievable. We had Tim Henson of the band Polyphia play, that was a huge get. That was a big get. Like he's a big guitar player. Big deal. We had Tosin Abasi of the band Animals as leaders play on season 4, like who's also just a huge guitar player, right? Maybe like the face of modern guitar right now. And just like Jacob Umansky played like just these like these guys who I just see on Instagram and women
In
too,
real
like
life? Well-
and like Luna Lee, who plays the gayagum, she like this Korean instrument.
Whoa.
She shreds, like literally shreds on this Korean instrument, and she played on Rise of Kwan.
Oh yeah.
It sounds like a
love
guitar,
this
but
one.
it's actually this big gayagum. It looks like a big Kyoto. It's like the Kodo. It's like the size of this couch. And like, do you know who Yngwie Malmsteen is?
I can't say I do.
All right.
He's like what genre is he even? It's like
Can we like
classical.
How do we spell this?
Yngwie. Yngwie. We had a call with him. He invented basically the neoclassical shredding genre.
Okay.
So in the 80s, this is like good education for y'all. Like in the 80s, like there's like a lot of like virtuosity in the guitar. We got like Eddie Van Halen.
Yep.
We have, hair metal, stuff that is very Cobra Kai influenced. This guy, Yngwie Malmsteen, it was like the Mozart on guitar. Like, and his whole
like would
thing
play
is
with orchestras and do
with an orchestra.
Yeah. It was like this
Okay.
very switched on classical vibe.
We
And he was a
wanted him-
big personality. He's like the Liberace
Yes.
of guitarists.
Yes.
He's like,
I don't know if
he
you
would
like that.
hate that. He would
Yeah.
hate it so much. But like,
Yeah, there he is.
Okay.
He's great. We had a call with him because we were like, it'd be really cool if he did something with Terry Silver, because like Terry Silver is like really
no way.
classical, and we had a call with him, and it was a great call, but we just like couldn't find the right thing to give.
we didn't
Yngwie
have the
Malmsteen.
right scene for it.
Didn't have
so
the
it
right
never
scene,
happened.
and it never happened, and that's my biggest regret.
Oh man. So okay, back into Cobra Kai really quickly. Our last season is out. It's been 7 years.
Yeah.
That y'all have been working on this show. And I'm definitely I'm not gonna speak for y'all. It definitely bums me out a bit to think about it now. Like you were saying, we could make thousands of threads and songs for this show. I could do so many more episodes of this. How is it? What is the feeling for y'all kind of closing this chapter on this kind of maybe one of the, at least for me, like the biggest chapter of my career? What is it like for y'all? How are y'all feeling?
Bittersweet,
Right?
I think. Like, if you come from the angle that all things must come to an end at some point, if you accept that, then I think like it's, do we feel that one, like the show ends in a satisfying way, and two, like, did we kind of do everything, Yngwie Malmsteen not included, that we wanted to do? And those boxes are really checked for me.
Yeah.
I think the landing on this show and the last few episodes is stuck at a, 10s across the board. Like, I really think they nailed it.
I hope they get credit for that
yeah.
too. Like, I hope that like John, Josh, and Aiden,
Right, in this
like,
world where people hate the endings of so many
Yeah.
shows, like, I really hope this one gets credit because I think it's perfect. And I feel very satisfied with the music at the end and all up until then.
Yeah.
And like, yes, I'm sure we could write a season 7 if, we had to, and it would be amazing. But like, I feel very good about leaving it here.
We're going off with a bang
Yeah.
for the show. I can't even imagine what I'm so geeked. I'm so excited to get to hear this final score, because what we've heard already so far from this season has been so cinematic in a way that y'all have obviously brought to the table before, but that that because there's more people on screen, the cameras are better, the sound, like everything, it just sounds like the world has been opened up to the biggest it's ever been. And at the same time, y'all brought up a really good point. Like, this is kind of a hard plane to land. I don't know what. I'm so glad I'm not a writer, because I'm like, wow, y'all really pulled it together here. Where do y'all go from here? I mean, y'all,
we shrivel up and die,
right?
As
Yeah.
all
Me
composers
too.
do.
Yeah. What the?
When the projects
Dude,
are
this
done.
I'm getting bummed out. I'm like, damn, this is. I need those episodes. I need to have like watch this so that I'm on this same emotional ride. Because did y'all expect this kind of ending How early did y'all hear about what was going down in these last 5 episodes?
Oh, we don't know anything before we start an episode.
Okay.
So we don't read the script. On purpose. We're totally siloed. The first time we see any episode is when we sit with John, Josh, and Hayden and talk about it.
That's by choice.
And we do it by choice because we have these like we're like fans of the show in addition to working on the show.
Shit.
And so like our visceral reaction to like the crazy shit that happens in this show and the twists and turns, we want to like feel that in real time like a fan because we think it really informs how we choose to then score scenes. And it's kind of become after maybe 2 seasons of that, it's actually become like a thing for John, Josh, and Hayden too. They love watching us watch the show in this like pretty completed form, and to also see what we react to because it's like we're kind of the test audience that they don't have.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. They love withholding information from us as well. And I want to bite their heads off.
And to answer your question, where we go from here, I think it's like one of the our biggest fears is like, I don't want to feel like the like college football player who won the Heisman or something, and then that was like the peak of their
out of the NFL. Yeah,
exactly.
My biggest fear is peaking.
Yes.
Like truly.
So like we need to like we're really excited about projects that we have coming up. We're super excited about Spider-Man coming out or has come out by the time that this is out, and we've got Twisted Metal season 2, which we work on with MJ,
which was fire, by the way.
Super fun show.
Has so much like. There's something about a show that is equal parts unserious, but grounded as well. That when the right actors are put in, the right team is put together, it just like hits
the
like
line on that show that they toe is very tightrope. And they do a really good job.
I really appreciate this sort of like counter programming it is to Last of Us. As a which is like the serious journey across the America like apocalypse show, and then this is like it doesn't come across as like a parody or something of that. It's just kind of this like totally self-contained thing that takes that trope and does it totally differently.
But we got to find like, you know, as we continue our careers, like we're always hoping to find projects like Cobra Kai and Twisted Metal and Spider-Man where we can really go. First of all, just have 7 years to develop material, stuff like that. And, you know, we want to do more movies because we came up on movies when we worked for Chris, and like, we just want to find projects that challenge us and that give us those emotional ties that we get from Cobra Kai that we're just like super excited to just sit down and write every day.
Yeah. I mean, Cobra Kai, it kind of gives us like the gold standard of like, it's like the dream show. It's a huge hit and everyone lets us do whatever the hell we want because we treat it with
pretty
respect.
Kind too.
Yeah.
It's like some of the kindest folk I've got.
You're
like,
and it's like, so it's like this amazing creative opportunity that then also tens of millions of people like watch. Like it's nuts. And so like, we know what that feels like now. And so like, I think it's not like we're going to always be trying to get back there, but I think it's kind of important to know like as a template for like, if a show is like making us happy in the same way, it's like, well, you want to capture that is like, am I as satisfied as I am?
And you definitely, are you as satisfied? And this has taken 7 years. Like, you know, y'all can like now be like, all right, let's wait for this. This is the one, this is the next one. You can feel it out. It doesn't, I don't know if this is the same for y'all, but it doesn't necessarily once finishing this 7 years and kind of like, literally the days after wrapping over in Atlanta and being done and not having another call sheet come in or not having another like 5 a.m. wake up to be wherever. And it was like, oh shoot, now like I'm sad, but now every door is open.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I can try anything new.
Yep.
I can try Shakespeare and I've fucking fallen my face and never done this before, or try stand-up comedy, all this. Does this, now that, you know, y'all have kind of wrapped up, you're already on this new show with Spider-Man, does that already sound different? Like as I was kind of looking at the show, it seems like this Spider-Man show is based more in and around kind of the 60s Stan Lee, Ditko style comics. How does that change the 80s, kind of stuff that y'all are, the bread and butter? How are we?
It's funny
because what is it gonna be like?
Part of our like post Cobra Kai rebrand, is we're not just the 80s guys anymore because we do a lot of stuff. Like we do a lot of stuff, and part of what our bread and butter is, I think, is just. We provide a lot of like energy and fun to scores.
Yeah.
So
we're the fun guys.
We're the fun guys. So that's like what we say in pitches. So you can put that in like your section breaks I see on Spotify.
The fun guys.
The fun guys. But yeah, like Spider-Man, like we're a good fit for Marvel because like their brand is.
They're walking that line.
They're walking that line. Exactly.
It's a superhero thing, but like it's always fun and funny, and there's like jokes.
And what we really liked about what Jeff did, the showrunner for Spider-Man, is he's like a mega, like I've literally never met someone who's more obsessed with Spider-Man.
Love that.
Like he has spider sleeves and he wears spider shirts and like he's
a spider.
He's a spider.
He's a spider.
In fact, he's a spider. But we wanted to approach it from like also like big anime fans. Like so we kind of had this vibe where there's it doesn't take place in the 60s, just the animation style is inspired by it. But we took a pretty modern approach and we kind of approached it scoring it like an anime. There's that kind of energy. Like Peter Parker is not like a perfect kid, and they really like make that a thing. And it's very messy. Like and the score has it's rough around the edges. There's a lot of like the action stuff feels a little not as polished as Cobra Kai. It definitely doesn't sound like other Marvel stuff. I'll say that. Yes. And we also kind of use a lot of like our not action palette is like lo-fi influenced.
Very lo-fi influenced. We like lo-fi music a lot, and like we've always been talking about like ways to work that in, and like I think there's also like this element with Spider-Man where like New York is such kind of like a present character, and like a lot of people make a connection between like New York and jazz, and like lo-fi. Totally. One thing, as like an ex-jazz guy, I really appreciate how it's like
jazz guy.
I'm still a jazz guy, but I'm not like. Here's the thing: when you become like a professional musician, like who writes music, you like really start to separate yourselves from like the guys who are really good at playing music. And so like I gave up on the saxophone years ago, and so like I can't I can't actually consider myself like a jazz guy because I'm just like not as good as the person.
Jazz guys listening are gonna
like the people when we do saxophone stuff and we like hire someone to play saxophone. It's like in a weird twist of fate, they're like people who I've like worshipped since high school when I played saxophone, and now we get to work with them.
Holy shit!
It's like I'm not a jazz guy.
Yeah.
But what I appreciate is I think I think jazz is actually like making a comeback just like through other mediums. Like people are
hip-hop,
like into jazz through hip hop and lo-fi and like
Kamasi Washington.
Big time.
They're huge.
Let's do some closing remarks. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Thanks for having
us.
So
fun.
I just have a few fun, we'll call them rapid fire questions, if you will. And the first up is like the Oscar nominations just came out. And I have a front runner, my fave. Do y'all have a fave? Are y'all familiar?
Can you remind us?
It's Emilia Perez, The Brutalist, Wicked,
Conclave,
and
The Wild Robot.
Kind of
an interesting year. There were some others I thought were gonna make it.
Who was gonna make it, y'all?
Oh, I thought Challengers.
I
thought that was a big
right?
snub, actually.
Well, it's funny because my wife, who is not in music or entertainment or anything, was like, Challengers didn't get a nomination. She was like, that's like the only score that I know.
Did anyone recognize
from this last year?
You just notice it in the movie in a way. Like
part of it, talk about
Talk
about a collaboration where the director lets them cook.
Yeah.
Luca was probably like, can you just do a 9 Inch Nails album? And they're like, yeah.
Okay.
And then he put it at like the highest volume possible.
I mean, that movie literally wouldn't work without
not,
using the music like that. Like it's so, I don't know. I loved it.
Did you see The Brutalist?
Not yet. I think
This
that's
is the
going
one
to
that I
win,
think
though.
is gonna
Based purely on vibes, I think The Brutalist is going to win.
I think not just on vibes. I thought the score was really good, and I thought it makes the movie. They shot that movie for under $10 million, apparently, which I don't believe. But I think that score makes it feel like a bigger budget
The
picture.
overture on that one,
It's great.
That's why I think it's
The
going to win.
shit-
Because
I mean-
I haven't seen it, but I am aware of this. And I think when you think about these awards that people vote on, it's just you need something kind of in your face like that where you just like can really latch on to like, oh, I have this memory of watching The Brutalist and there is that overture. And like, I think that wins a lot of votes.
Definitely. Quick question that you said that thinking about The Brutalist, is it harder to make a good quiet score or a good loud
what
score?
a good question.
Like The Brutalist seems to me like a good quiet score. There's some big moments and some big like, you know, big drumming, some big horns happening, but it does feel like a quiet score. Is that tougher to pull off?
Interesting question.
I don't know if it's tougher.
Is it just
Sometimes
how
you're more
creative?
vulnerable when it's
Yeah,
quiet.
you're more vulnerable. And like also oftentimes like if you miss the mark with something, you don't have that many elements to like change. And so then you kind of redo it from scratch in a lot of ways.
Okay.
Like, whereas like when there's a lot going on, like oftentimes it's like you're making changes because most of our job is making changes. It's not like there's the step that's writing the music, but really like, especially when you're working on a movie, it's super collaborative with the director and the editor and the producers, and you're really just rewriting music all of the time. And it's really about how good you are at rewriting music, not writing music. And so when there's a lot going on, you can make pretty big changes without necessarily like starting from scratch.
Yeah.
And so I think when there's very little, you're pretty vulnerable.
Okay.
But you know what? Writing really loud music is also really hard.
Oh, yeah.
We joke that we work on the most labor-intensive projects, and like Cobra Kai is the top of that list. Cobra Kai, it's like, writing like a 15-minute fight was really hard.
With
40 people.
And you're also keeping
80
track
people?
of like an 80-piece orchestra, guitars, bass, drums, synths, choir. Like there's a lot of notes that have to be written and
you've held
accounted for.
consistencies throughout the years, so you have to go back to the
pacing of that was crazy. Like, are you a gamer?
Yeah.
Did you play Final Fantasy VII?
Not the reboot. Is this the one that
it could
that just,
either one actually, but the remake maybe.
I've seen some stuff, but no, I haven't played.
So Andres, our music editor, who helps temp the music with the editors, he put in some tracks from Final Fantasy for that fight. And it worked so well.
Yeah, those.
So
are,
like final because it's like they're really long. They're like 8 minutes, and they
Build
feel
up.
like battle and they build. And I remember like listening to it, was like, how does this like develop in a certain way? So it was that whole fight is very Final Fantasy inspired.
Hey.
And that was hard. So I don't know. Loud music is hard.
They're all hard.
Okay.
It's all hard. The job is hard.
Okay. All right. Thank you for answering that. Sorry, that was just one that popped in my head. What's a score that like more people need to hear that maybe y'all grew up on, or that's just like, this one came out recently. This is a banger.
I want everybody to listen to our friend Daniel Pemberton's music all of the time. He does.
I'm sure they do already.
They do already,
Spider-Verse.
but like I just want to give him props because I think he's like one of the best working composers right now. But he does Spider-Verse, and those scores are, maximalist and insane and awesome.
Yeah. I think if you're kind of looking to get into the world, and looking for some inspiration, or
definitely,
I think a lot of people who watch Cobra Kai are interested in music and stuff. But what got me into film music was the work of Ennio Morricone, who did the spaghetti westerns, Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, Fistful of Dollars. That's him. Marty Cove is a big fan of him. We talk about him a lot.
Fan.
Every time we see Marty Cove, we kind of bring it up with him. But yeah, that really got me into it. And I don't know how old your audience is necessarily. I get, I was 13 when the Pirates of the Caribbean score came out, but that got me
jacked.
Pretty into film scores.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Zach, Leo, thank you so much for coming on the pod. It's been a pleasure, and if y'all know, we have a segment that we do on every episode to end the pod called Song of the Week.
Okay.
And it's this ever-growing playlist that we have of music. We just started our new one for the new year, so this is our 2025 playlist. And that's where every time we have a guest, they add a song to the playlist to kind of put our audience on. So if y'all boys would do the pleasure in adding a song to the playlist, we would love to know what you've been listening to.
Cool.
Wait, let's pick some city pop.
Okay, I'll go first.
Wait, is this what we're adding to the playlist?
This is what you're adding to the playlist.
Okay.
I'll say, so I got really into this band called Nox Novacula. I just discovered them last week. I'm kind of into like goth music, like dark wavy post-punk stuff.
Okay.
The song's called Flood. It's pretty cool. It's pretty dope. They're a contemporary band. Nox, N-O-X, Novacula.
Okay.
There it is. Right. Yeah, it's pretty dope. I'm into this stuff.
Okay. So I just want to leave something on this playlist that feels like only Zach and I might leave on it, which is
I love that.
Zach introduced me to this band back in 2013. It's a J-pop band called Perfume. Okay. And it's like these three
I bet
girls.
Jacob knows them.
Yeah.
We
only know
them.
Baby Metal. That's the only group we know.
Baby Metal rules.
They're amazing. Their producer, Yasutaka Nakata, is next level genius. He actually produces tons of different artists in Japan, and he's like got this crazy like jazz fusion background. So like the music is insanely complicated, even for the really mainstream stuff. He's also got this like self-titled project called Capsule, which is super cool. I think Perfume is his like best thing. Like what he does with these three girls is like unbelievable. I am just a fan of their album JPN. It used to be like every day at the gym I would listen to this album. It is insane workout music. And like I'm not even sure what we should pick on this album.
By the way, I don't know if you listened to their new
maybe
album,
Glitter.
It's really good. Glitter's good.
This is a banger.
Do Glitter.
Lobito of the week.
Who's our Lobito of the week?
Our bonus.
Taylor A.W.
Taylor A.W. Is she a Lobito or a
Lobito?
Taylor A.W. Thank you so much. You remind me of Root Beer Girl. Thank you so much for supporting the podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, maybe check out our Supercast at lonelobos.supercast.com. We got a Reddit, we got a Discord, we got socials, and we also got the extended version of our boys' conversation with Zach and Leo here today. Zach and Leo, thank you so much for being on the pod.
Thank you.
Y'all,
thank you.
In this camera, tell the people where we can find you or what you got going on.
Where can the people find us?
We're not on as many socials these days, but I'm on Instagram.
You're probably happy.
Yeah, it's a better lifestyle. at ZRobUSA.
And I am at Leo Birenberg on Instagram. And we check our DMs. So if you want to, if you want to slide in and talk some music, like
talk some music, talk some pod, talk some. I mean, at this point, boys, the show has been out. It's a little odd right now recording before the show comes out, but I just wanted to say, explicitly, thank you so much for all that you've added to the show. Thank you for sticking by the show as well. It's a pleasure to get to have folk that have been along from the beginning to the end. So congrats. And I know that y'all are going to do the coolest, greatest things. You're on the road to the coolest stuff. So
thank you.
We'll be supporting you.
Likewise.
Jacob, we miss you, bro. We're hoping you're well, but he's sending his love as well. And please come back.
Thank you. It's very special for us too to like be a part of, we don't often get to know the cast of the shows we work on. So it's cool for us to like all be a family.
Hey, you're doing concerts with Billy.
And Tanner.
You guys are rock stars.
Tanner.
This show is good vibes. It's been that way since the beginning because it's like the way it grew. Like I don't know.
We never could have expected
very
it.
unique.
But thanks y'all for listening. We'll see you next week. Ciao, bacalao.
This episode of Lone Lobos is a Lone Lobos production, produced by Monica Tamayo and JMKM, with intro music by Nicholas Gray. Like what you hear? Check us out on Instagram at Lone Lobos.
stuff. Monica, Jordan,